everyone, welcome to A Trader's Journey. Welcome to another Sunday pre-market sessions. And today we go through all our pairs that we trade and look at potential trades for the week and look at the outlook of the week. And obviously we look at the previous week and see what the previous week have done and how can we potentially see what the markets will try to do next week, and then we make our decisions from there. So right now we're going to jump on pound dollar and look at how last week actually closed, on what happened last week. So if we look at last week, right, we had the week before last, we had similar closure to, obviously this week closed similarly to the week before last, right? The price pushed down, tried to move down, but the DXY is so weak that we get these pullbacks and fails. We keep failing in these areas to push down. So it shows that we have a good start to the week and DXY looks strong, but towards the end of the week, obviously the news come up. There's a lot of data in the US that is it's negative to the US, to the dollar. So we keep seeing this bounce in these areas and price and ending up a little bit bullish. Obviously this is a bearish candle, but the week opens bearishly, and then obviously we close because it shows the weakness of the dollar. So similar to the week before last week we did the same thing. We opened with a gap, try to push down, we fail in this zone, in this area, and close with the wick. So at the moment the DXY, it's not looking strong enough to push price down. So if I jump on the daily and show you exactly what I'm looking at, the daily chart, if I draw in the fib, right, in this run, so I put on a fib from here to here, right, you can clearly see that we had this run and we tried to create another bearish move, but we keep failing in the zone, right? We haven't even touched the halfway point of this run. So my understanding is price, it's not as the DXY is not as strong as we potentially is going to look towards the end of the year because of what's happening with Trump and the Feds. You know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the US with the DXY, so that's why it's looking rather weak. So if you look on this at this level here, these order blocks, we keep failing in these areas here. We came up, we try to push up, and then we keep failing, but we're not actually pushing down as well. So for me, what it's looking like is that even though we're forming a sort of a corrective structure here into the zone, so price is sort of squeezing in this area, and we trying to find a direction to close off the quarter, right? This is the last month of the third quarter, and it's quite uncertain at the moment. So the trades you can take a more intraday trade. You can't really swing trade in this market at the moment. So I'm looking at price breaking, creating an order block, try to push down, bouncing off this area again, and then we pull back into the zone. So we're failing to break this zone over here. There's a lot of failure in the zone, so now we're creating some sort of a squeeze, and we'll see how money opens. My prediction is we'll have a bit of a pullback again because the price is at a premium zone based off the structure here. Currently this is our, on the daily chart, this is currently our external structure, and this is our internal structure. So unless we create a new high, we're still trading within the structure over here. So well, my prediction is, let's see how Monday opens, but if we fail to break here again, price might just pull back a bit, maybe interact with these lows, and if we bounce off here again, or if we manage to break this area, then we could potentially look at price interacting with the structure low. But that's dependent on how strong the DXY is. So at the moment it's not looking as bearish as we initially thought, especially based on how we started on this run here. So what I'm seeing at the moment is potentially gonna pull back maybe into the zone again at the low of the structure, this mini structure here, and then maybe try look for entries at this zone, or Monday could open and then maybe take out these highs, potentially come up to these highs, but that's dependent on if we break here and then use this as some sort of support and potentially come up to these highs. So at the moment it's quite we're not sure at the moment what's going to happen. It's all dependent on how we open. And looking at Asia, we'll probably wait for Asia to open and make our decision from there. Obviously you can see the structure here. Let me just make it cleaner. This is a corrective structure into the zone, but it's also a bit of a flag, but it's too big for me for this flag. This flag has created a big range, which makes it a little more difficult to trade. So if we can potentially break this zone, maybe use this as some sort of resistance, this area, and maybe we can potentially see price come up with. We break this low, then we can interact with this low, right, at the moment. So if we fail to break here, then let's see if price can come down, break the structure here, take these lows, and if we can break this, use this as some sort of support. If I draw a line here and use this as a resistance, pardon me, then we can come up and interact with these lows. So that's potentially a big trade waiting to happen, but it's all dependent on how we handle the structure over here. So moving on to the euro dollar. Obviously euro dollar is much less reactive. We see on the weekly, we've already taken the lows of the week before last here, which is different to what the pound dollar did. So this one, it's stuck in this range over here. If I look on the left, we've been stuck into this value area. So this is a value area, right? This is the second run that started this run. Obviously the most value is up here, right? The most value. So price hasn't interacted with this area at the moment for now. This is the area that started in 2021. We had this big run into this, and then we bounced off this area. We've been trying to push up ever since. So let's see if we can interact with these areas, but that's dependent on we start breaking some highs coming up into this area. So if I go on the daily and show you, so the euro dollar is looking much less to pull down, but if I move this out the way, you can see that this is a zone that we sort of stuck in, you know, at the moment. And if I draw a resistance, a support here, you can see this is the zone. So price is sort of in the middle, in no man's land at the moment, based on this high and this low. So obviously you can see we've been interacting with this low and this high, and we're failing to break either side of the structure, right? So for me, if we can potentially come down, maybe break this high, then I can look for something to trade into this low. So at the moment it's in no man's land, so it keeps bouncing off this area. So yeah, a lot of people keep trying to sell from this area if it hasn't broken. So that's selling at the bottom of the range where it might bounce. You need for price to have a clear break and retest of this area. At the moment it's stuck in the middle of the zone. This is quite messy at the moment, so you want price to sort of break out of here and maybe potentially interact with these highs over here. If I look on the left, these are the long-term highs that we haven't interacted with yet, and potentially come up to this zone over here. So at the moment, euro dollar, I'm looking to see what we do on the other side of these zones, right? If I make this much cleaner, you can see this is basically a ranging market here on the daily, right? So the most potential trades are at these areas. You can short it from here or long it from here. Those are the safer trades for me that you can take on euro dollar. But let's see if we can break out of this range and make our decisions from there. The 4 hour also look the same. You can clearly see we are stuck in this range, which makes it difficult to trade. So look, to be safe, look for trades below or above these areas, and that's the safest trades you can make, but because of the market is sort of ranging in this area. So let's be careful out there and let's trade smart. All right, So looking at UJ, going to the weekly, UJ is similar because of, look at this. This is very untradeable at the moment. It's quite a range that obviously after this two bullish candles, we've sort of been correcting down into this gap, and we've sort of created some sort of support. So we're not really breaking anything at the moment. It's quite difficult to trade, but on the lower time frames you can find some trades, some intraday trades. But it's the weekly. It looks like it's creating these long wicks. It shows that price wants to push up and then fails at the end of the week. Similar to what euro dollar and pound dollar are doing. Try to push and then fails. Try to push and then fails because of towards the end of the week. That's why we get the most news, and they're mostly negative towards the dollar. So that's why we get these fails in the weekly. So go on a daily. You'll clearly see that if my trading view can't behave, there we go. If you look at this zone, let me just squeeze it a bit. You can see this is horrible. This is horrible price action. Surprisingly, I managed to find a couple of trades in this terrible market. But it shows you that if you have a strategy that can work on different markets, you can find opportunities, especially even the price is horrible like this. This is very untradeable. But if you have a very systematic system, you can find trades in here. So at the moment, like I'm saying, I've got this sort of range that needs to be broken, and these are safer trades. Break and retest of this area, and then break of these tests and retest of this high. All right, at the moment, based on the DXY, it's looking rather unlikely that we're going to come up to these highs. It might just push down, and then this would be a nice area to short from. And obviously you've got these sort of gaps still to be taken, and if you look on bigger scale, it's caught up in this sort of corrective range at the moment. You see 1 2 3 touches, and then it's stuck in here. So let's see what happens on Monday, but potentially I'd love for price to sort of break this low over here, and it makes it a far easier trade to take, to make your decisions. Actually, now it doesn't make it easy, it makes it a little bit manageable, because of you will be out of this horrible range here. So let's see what next week brings to us. But at the moment, it's looking like we are gearing up to finally break out of this range. But let's see how Monday opens. So that's my week, that's what I'm looking at, and yeah, I'm the straight smart, and I'll see you guys on the next one.